The morning sun cast long shadows across the front steps of Westlake High School as Jasmine Thompson stood frozen, clutching her schedule tightly between her fingers. The large brick building loomed before her, bustling with unfamiliar faces, rushing past. This was her third school in 2 years, and the knot in her stomach felt heavier than ever. "Just breathe," she whispered to herself, adjusting the straps of her backpack. At 16, Jasmine had mastered the art of being the new girl, but that didn't make it any easier. The main hallway buzzed with activity as students slammed lockers and called out to friends. Jasmine kept her head down, following the numbers, until she found locker 237. After 3 tries, the stubborn lock finally clicked open. "You must be new," said a friendly voice beside her. A girl with glasses and curly hair smiled, opening the locker next to Jasmine's. "I'm Zoe." "Jasmine," she replied with a small smile, relieved to see a friendly face. "Is it that obvious I'm new?" "Only because nobody's used that locker since Rodriguez transferred last semester," Zoe laughed. "Need help finding your first class?" As they walked through the crowded hallway, Jasmine spotted a tall boy with sandy brown hair holding court near the water fountain surrounded by a group of students. Something about their laughter made her uneasy. It had that sharp edge that usually meant someone else was the target. "Who's that?" Jasmine nodded toward the group. Zoe's smile faded. "That's Tyler Daniels, captain of the wrestling team, thinks he owns the school. It's best to stay out of his way." Just then a smaller boy walked past, head down and hugging his books tightly to his chest. In one quick movement, Tyler stuck out his foot, sending the boy sprawling to the floor. Books and papers scattered everywhere as laughter erupted from Tyler's friends. "Watch where you're going, loser," Tyler sneered, high-fiving one of his friends. Jasmine felt her blood boil. She took a step forward, but Zoe grabbed her arm. "Don't," Zoe whispered urgently. "You'll just make it worse." Jasmine hesitated, then pulled away gently and approached the boy who was frantically gathering his papers. She knelt down and helped collect his scattered belongings, aware of the sudden silence around them. "Thanks," the boy mumbled, not meeting her eyes. "No problem," Jasmine replied, loud enough for others to hear. She handed him his last notebook and stood up, accidentally making eye contact with Tyler. His cold stare sent a chill down her spine, but Jasmine didn't look away. Something about his arrogance reminded her of the bullies at her old school, and she had promised herself she wouldn't be intimidated again. Tyler broke the stare first, turning back to his friends with a dismissive shrug. But Jasmine noticed how his jaw tightened, how his eyes narrowed slightly. Back in class, Jasmine tried to focus as teachers introduced themselves and outlined course expectations. But her mind kept returning to the hallway incident. What Zoe and the others didn't know was that Jasmine wasn't just any new student. Every evening after school for the past 8 years, Jasmine had trained at her father's martial arts studio. What had started as self-defense lessons had grown into a passion. She had competed in regional tournaments and even earned her black belt last summer, but Jasmine never bragged about it. Her father had taught her that true strength wasn't about showing off or seeking fights. It was about discipline, respect, and using your skills only when necessary. As the final bell rang, Jasmine gathered her things and headed toward the exit. She spotted Zoe waving from across the hallway and smiled, walking toward her new friend. Maybe this school would be different. Maybe she could just blend in and finish the year without drama. But as she passed a row of lockers, she felt someone watching her. Turning slightly, she caught Tyler's cold stare following her from across the hall. The look in his eyes was clear. He had noticed her defiance, and he wasn't pleased. Jasmine took a deep breath and kept walking. She had faced bullies before. She wasn't looking for trouble, but she wouldn't back down either. Little did anyone know what she was capable of if pushed too far. The first week at Westlake High moved quickly for Jasmine. By Thursday, she had memorized her schedule, figured out which hallways to avoid during rush periods, and even made a few friends besides Zoe. Most importantly, she had managed to keep her distance from Tyler Daniels until lunch period on Friday. Jasmine was standing in line, tray in hand, scanning the cafeteria for a free spot when she noticed Zoe sitting alone at a corner table. She smiled and started walking over, weaving between crowded tables. "Hey," Jasmine said, sliding into the seat across from Zoe. "How was chemistry?" Before Zoe could answer, a chocolate milk carton splashed onto their table, spraying both girls with cold droplets. "Oops," said a familiar voice dripping with fake innocence. "My bad." Tyler Daniels stood behind Zoe, flanked by two of his friends who were struggling to hold back their laughter. The entire table next to them had gone quiet, watching. "It was an accident," Tyler added with an exaggerated shrug. "Just like your outfit today, right?" Zoe looked down at her now milk-stained shirt, her cheeks flushing red with embarrassment. "Here," Jasmine said quietly, handing Zoe some napkins. Then she looked up at Tyler. "Pretty clumsy for a wrestling captain." The cafeteria seemed to hold its breath. Nobody spoke to Tyler Daniels like that. Tyler's smile vanished. He leaned down, placing both hands on the table, his face inches from Jasmine's. "What did you say?" Jasmine's heart pounded, but her father's words echoed in her mind. "Fear is natural. Letting it control you is a choice," I said, Jasmine replied, meeting his gaze. "That was clumsy, and you owe Zoe an apology." Tyler's friends exchanged glances. One of them, a stocky boy with a buzz cut, nudged Tyler. "Come on, man. Not worth your time." For a moment, Tyler didn't move. Then he straightened up with a forced laugh. "New girl thinks she's tough," he announced loudly, looking around for approval. "Better watch yourself. You don't know how things work around here yet." As they walked away, Jasmine let out the breath she'd been holding. "Are you crazy?" Zoe whispered, eyes wide. "Nobody stands up to Tyler, not even teachers half the time." "Someone should," Jasmine said, pushing her food around her plate. Her appetite had vanished. That afternoon in history class, Jasmine felt paper balls hitting the back of her neck. When she turned around, 3 of Tyler's friends quickly looked down at their books, smirking. The teacher noticed nothing, continuing his lecture about ancient Greece. After school, Jasmine found her backpack missing from her locker. After 30 minutes of searching, a janitor found it stuffed in a trash can in the boys' bathroom, her notebook soaked with water. "Just ignore them," advised Raj, a friendly boy from her math class who had helped her search. "They'll get bored eventually." But Jasmine wasn't so sure. She had seen this pattern before. The next Monday, things escalated. Someone had written "New Girl Loser" on her locker in black marker. During gym class, her clothes disappeared while she was showering after volleyball practice, forcing her to spend an hour wrapped in a towel until the coach found her a spare uniform. By Wednesday, whispers followed her through the hallways. Tyler had spread rumors that she had been kicked out of her last school for fighting, that she was on probation, that her father was in prison. None of it was true, but that didn't stop people from staring. "You should tell Principal Wilson," Zoe suggested as they sat on the bleachers during lunch, avoiding the cafeteria. Jasmine sighed. "And say what? I have no proof Tyler's behind any of it." "We all know it's him," said Raj, who had joined their small group of outcasts. "Just stay away from him," added Lee, another girl who had recently started sitting with them. "He's been worse than usual since he got rejected from State University." Later that day, Jasmine was walking to her last class when she spotted a small crowd gathered in the hallway. Through the ring of onlookers, she saw Zoe pressed against the lockers, clutching her books to her chest as Tyler loomed over her. "I'm just asking to see your homework," Tyler was saying. "You're supposed to be smart, right? So help me out." I can't," Zoe stammered. "That's cheating." Tyler's face darkened. "Are you calling me a cheater?" Jasmine didn't hesitate. She pushed through the crowd and stepped between them, facing Tyler directly. "She said no," Jasmine stated firmly. "Leave her alone." The hallway went silent as Tyler's eyes narrowed, his jaw tightening with anger. "You really don't learn, do you?" he said softly, dangerously. "Maybe it's time someone taught you a lesson." The tension in the hallway was thick enough to cut with a knife. Students had formed a circle around Jasmine and Tyler, their faces a mix of excitement and fear. Nobody stepped forward to help. "Move," Tyler commanded, his voice dangerously low. "No," Jasmine replied, standing her ground. She could feel Zoe trembling behind her. A tall girl with braided hair pushed through the crowd. "Teacher coming," she warned, and just like that the spell was broken. Tyler took a step back, his eyes never leaving Jasmine's face. "This isn't over," he said, backing away as Mr. Rodriguez, the math teacher, turned the corner. The bell rang, and students scattered to their classrooms. Jasmine's hands were shaking as she hurried to biology with Zoe. "Thanks," Zoe whispered as they slid into their seats. "But now he's going to make your life even worse." Jasmine shrugged, trying to appear braver than she felt. "What else can he do?" she found out the next day. Jasmine was answering a question in English class when the door swung open and Tyler walked in, late as usual. As he passed her desk, he knocked her water bottle over, soaking her notes. While the teacher's back was turned, Tyler leaned down. "Go back where you came from," he whispered. "We don't want your kind here." Jasmine froze, the words cutting deeper than she wanted to admit. She'd heard similar things before, but it never hurt any less. At lunch, she sat alone, having told Zoe she needed to finish some homework. The truth was, she didn't want anyone else becoming a target because of her. As she picked at her sandwich, Tyler and his group settled at the table directly behind her. "You know why they transferred her here, right?" Tyler said loudly, making sure she could hear. "Nobody wanted her at her old school, probably too busy swinging from trees." His friends laughed, and Jasmine gripped her water bottle tightly, knuckles turning white. "What's wrong, ape girl? Can't understand English?" Jasmine stood up suddenly, turned, and walked straight out of the cafeteria, leaving her lunch behind. She heard their laughter follow her down the hall. In the bathroom, she splashed cold water on her face, fighting back tears. She wouldn't give him the satisfaction of seeing her cry. Her phone buzzed with a text from her dad. "How's the new school going?" "Fine," she typed back, unwilling to worry him. He had enough on his plate running the dojo and taking care of her little brother. The rest of the day passed in a blur. In every class she shared with Tyler or his friends, there were whispers, notes passed, and snickering when she spoke. During gym, someone had written ape on her locker in marker. That afternoon, Jasmine stayed late, helping her science teacher clean up after a lab experiment. It was almost 5 when she finally headed toward the exit, the school hallways eerily quiet. As she rounded the corner toward her locker, she saw it had been vandalized again, this time with words so hateful she couldn't bear to look at them. Her shoulders slumped as she opened the damaged locker, grabbed her jacket, and headed for the side exit that led to the student parking lot. She just wanted to get home, to forget this day had ever happened. The parking lot was nearly empty, most students and teachers long gone. As Jasmine walked toward the bike rack where she'd left her bicycle that morning, she heard footsteps behind her. Turning quickly, she saw Tyler and 3 of his friends spreading out, blocking her path to the street. "Nowhere to run now, new girl," Tyler said, his smile cold and threatening. "I don't want trouble," Jasmine said calmly, though her heart was racing. "Just let me get my bike and go home." "You should have thought about that before you embarrassed me," Tyler replied, stepping closer. "Nobody does that, especially not someone like you. Someone like me." Jasmine's voice was quiet but steady. "Yeah," Tyler sneered, glancing at his friends for approval. "A black ape who doesn't know her place." The words hung in the air. Something shifted inside Jasmine. A line had been crossed. She dropped her backpack to the ground and stood straight, her father's training taking over. "My place?" she said, stepping forward instead of back. "Let me show you exactly what my place is." Tyler's friends moved closer, forming a half circle around Jasmine. The shortest one, a boy with spiky hair who always laughed the loudest at Tyler's jokes, pulled out his phone and started recording. "This is going to be good," he snickered. "The new girl thinks she can fight." Jasmine took a deep breath, centering herself just like her father had taught her. 8 years of training had prepared her for this moment, though she had always hoped she'd never need to use it. "I don't want to fight you," she said clearly, looking directly at Tyler. "This isn't going to solve anything." Tyler laughed, glancing at his friends for approval. "Hear that? She's scared now." "She should be," said another boy, a tall kid with a baseball cap turned backward. "Nobody messes with us and gets away with it." Jasmine started to back away slowly, still facing them. Maybe she could make it to the main road where there would be witnesses, maybe even a teacher heading to their car. "Running away?" Tyler taunted, stepping forward to match her retreat. "I knew you were all talk." "Let me pass," Jasmine said firmly. "Last chance." Tyler's face darkened. "Or what?" He lunged forward suddenly, shoving her hard. Jasmine stumbled backward but caught herself before falling. "That's just a taste," he sneered. The boy with the phone moved to get a better angle. "Come on, Tyler, show her what happens to people who don't know their place." Something in Jasmine snapped. The words, the harassment, the constant fear. It had been building for days. Her father's voice echoed in her mind. "Fighting is always the last resort, but when someone threatens your safety, you have the right to defend yourself." Tyler stepped forward again, this time swinging his arm toward her face. In one fluid motion, Jasmine sidestepped the punch, grabbed his extended arm, and used his own momentum to pull him off balance. Tyler stumbled forward, surprise flashing across his face. Before he could recover, Jasmine had moved back into a defensive stance, hands up, feet firmly planted. "What the?" Tyler's shock quickly turned to rage. He charged at her like a bull, arms outstretched to grab her. Jasmine waited until the last second, then pivoted, letting his momentum carry him past her. As he stumbled, she swept her leg against the back of his knees. Tyler crashed to the ground hard, landing on his stomach with a grunt of pain. His friends stood frozen, the phone still recording. "Dude, get up!" one of them urged nervously. Tyler scrambled to his feet, his face red with embarrassment and anger. "Lucky move," he spat. He signaled to his friends. "Get her." The three boys hesitated, then moved toward Jasmine at once. She backed up against a car, seemingly trapped. The spiky-haired boy reached for her first. Jasmine ducked under his arm, slipped past him and moved to the open space of the parking lot. Now they would have to come at her one by one. The tall boy with the baseball cap rushed her next. Jasmine blocked his wild swing and pushed him away, sending him stumbling into the boy with the phone. Both of them crashed into a row of bicycles, knocking several over in a noisy tangle of metal and limbs. The third boy looked from Jasmine to Tyler, uncertainty clear on his face. "What are you waiting for?" Tyler shouted. "There's 4 of us and 1 of her." But the boy backed away, shaking his head. "This is messed up, man. She's just a girl." "Just a girl?" Jasmine couldn't help but laugh. Is that supposed to be an insult? Tyler was seething now, humiliated in front of his friends. He rushed at her again, this time feinting left before throwing a right hook. Jasmine blocked the punch and countered with an open palm strike to his chest, just enough force to knock him back without causing serious injury. Tyler wheezed. The wind knocked out of him. He stumbled backward and fell onto the pavement, landing hard on his backside. "Stay down," Jasmine warned, her voice steady despite her racing heart. "It's over." But Tyler wasn't done. With a roar of frustration, he scrambled up and charged one, last time wild with rage. Jasmine sidestepped again, but this time Tyler anticipated her move. His hand caught her sleeve, and he yanked her toward him, his other hand curled into a fist. In that split second, Jasmine's training took over completely. She twisted her trapped arm, breaking his grip, and in one continuous motion executed a perfect shoulder throw. Tyler went airborne for a moment before crashing onto his back on the hard pavement. This time, he didn't get up right away. "I told you," Jasmine said, breathing hard but standing tall. "It's over." She looked around at the stunned faces of Tyler's friends, then at the phone still recording everything. "And you've got it all on video," she added. "Good." For several seconds, nobody moved. Tyler lay on the ground, groaning and clutching his back. His friends stood frozen, looking from Tyler to Jasmine with wide eyes. The only sound was their heavy breathing and the distant hum of traffic beyond. The school grounds. The boy with the phone slowly lowered it, his mouth hanging open. "Where did you learn to do that?" he asked, his voice barely above a whisper. Jasmine brushed dust from her clothes and picked up her backpack. "My dad owns a dojo across town. I've been training since I was 8. Tyler struggled to sit up, wincing. The rage in his eyes had been replaced by something new, embarrassment mixed with disbelief. "You could have said something," muttered the tall boy with the baseball cap, helping Tyler to his feet. "Would you have listened?" Jasmine asked quietly. "Or would you have just laughed and called me more names?" None of them answered. The boy with the phone slipped it into his pocket, avoiding her eyes. "Delete that video," Tyler demanded, his voice strained as he leaned against his friend for support. "No," said the boy, surprising everyone. "I'm not deleting it." "What? Are you serious?" Tyler tried to stand up straight but grimaced in pain. "Give me your phone now." The boy backed away, shaking his head. "No, man, this has gone too far." He glanced at Jasmine. "I'm sorry, we shouldn't have. This wasn't right." Tyler lunged for him but stumbled, still unsteady. "You're dead if that video gets out, all of you." But something had shifted. His friends exchanged uncomfortable glances. Then the tall one spoke up. "Come on, Tyler, let's just go. This is stupid." "Stupid?" Tyler's face was red with humiliation. "She made us look like idiots." "No," Jasmine cut in. "You did that all by yourself." Just then, headlights swept across the parking lot as a car pulled. In Mr. Rivera, the night janitor, stepped out, keys jingling in his hand. "What's going on here?" he called, walking toward them. "School's been out for hours." Tyler straightened up, wincing as he did. "Nothing," he said quickly. "We were just leaving." Mr. Rivera looked from the fallen bicycles to Tyler's dirt-covered clothes, then to Jasmine standing alone. "Everything okay, miss?" he asked, concern creasing his weathered face. Jasmine hesitated, then nodded. "Yes, I think it is now." Tyler and 2 of his friends shuffled toward the exit, but the boy with the phone stayed behind. Once the others were out of earshot, he spoke softly to Jasmine. "I'm really sorry about all this, about what Tyler said to you. It wasn't right." Jasmine studied his face, looking for signs of insincerity, but found none. "What's your name?" she asked. "David," he replied, shifting uncomfortably. "Well, David, what happens now is up to you," Jasmine said, picking up her bike that had fallen during the scuffle. "That video shows exactly what happened. I didn't start this, but I finished it." David nodded slowly. "I know. That's why I didn't delete it." Mr. Rivera was still watching them from a distance, pretending to check the lock on the gym door. "I should go," Jasmine said, wheeling her bike toward the gate. "My dad will be worried." "Wait," David called after her. "What are you going to do? Are you going to report this to Principal Wilson?" Jasmine stopped and turned back. "I don't know yet. What Tyler's been doing, what he said to me today, it wasn't just bullying, it was hate. And it needs to stop." David looked down at his phone, then back at her. "I'll back you up, whatever you decide." As Jasmine pedaled home through the darkening streets, her hands were still shaking. She had never used her training in a real fight before. Her father would be disappointed that it had come to that, but proud that she had defended herself without causing serious harm. She replayed the events in her mind, from the first day she'd seen Tyler bullying that boy in the hallway, to the moment she'd thrown him to the ground. She hadn't asked for this fight, but deep down she knew it had been coming since that first day. Her phone buzzed with a text message. It was from an unknown number. "It's David. Got your number from Zoe. The video is already spreading. Everyone's talking about it. Tyler's freaking out. What do you want me to do?" Jasmine stopped her bike under a streetlight and stared at the message. She hadn't expected things to move so quickly. By tomorrow morning, everyone at school would know what had happened. She took a deep breath and typed back, "Tell the truth. That's all any of us can do." By the time Jasmine arrived at school the next morning, everything had changed. Students whispered as she walked down the hallway, some pointing, others quickly looking away when she made eye contact. The video had spread overnight, shared in group chats and social media. Everyone had seen what happened in the parking lot, Zoe rushed up to her at her locker, eyes wide with excitement. Is it true? Did you really flip Tyler onto the ground? Jasmine shut her locker, uncomfortable with the attention. I just defended myself, that's all. That's not what the video shows, said Raj, appearing beside them. You were amazing. Where did you learn to fight like that? Before Jasmine could answer, a voice came over the intercom. Jasmine Thompson and Tyler Daniels, please report to Principal Wilson's office immediately. The hallway fell silent. Zoe squeezed Jasmine's arm. We've got your back. David showed. The principal, everything, even the stuff Tyler wrote on your locker. Jasmine took a deep breath and headed toward the office, very aware of the dozens of eyes following her. When she arrived, Tyler was already there, sitting stiffly in a chair outside Principal Wilson's door. His usual swagger was gone. He didn't look up as she sat in the chair farthest from him. Mr. Daniels, you first, said Mrs. Chen, the principal's secretary, her face giving nothing away. Tyler stood up slowly, wincing slightly. The door closed behind him, leaving Jasmine alone with her thoughts. 20 minutes later, the door opened. Tyler emerged, his face pale. He walked past without looking at her. Miss Thompson, Principal Wilson will see you now. The principal's office was smaller than Jasmine had imagined, with photos of former graduating classes covering one wall. Principal Wilson, a woman with short gray hair and kind eyes, gestured to the chair across from her desk. I've seen the video, she said without preamble, and I've heard from several students about what's been happening these past 2 weeks. Jasmine nodded, unsure what to say. Why didn't you come to me sooner? Principal Wilson asked, her voice gentle but firm. Jasmine looked down at her hands. I didn't think it would help. At my old school. She paused, memories flooding back. Nobody did anything until it was too late. Principal Wilson sighed, leaning back in her chair. I'm sorry that was your experience, but here at Westlake we take bullying seriously, especially when it involves the kind of language Tyler used toward you. She shuffled some papers on her desk. Several students have come forward this morning, not just about what happened to you, but about other incidents. It seems Tyler has been bullying many students for quite some time. What happens now? Jasmine asked. Tyler has been suspended for 2 weeks. When he returns, he'll be required to attend counseling and participate in our restorative justice program. The principal looked at her over her glasses. And you'll both need to meet with our school counselor to discuss what happened. Am I in trouble too? Jasmine asked, her stomach knotting with worry. Principal Wilson's expression softened. No, Jasmine. The video clearly shows you were defending yourself. But using martial arts skills comes with responsibility, as I'm sure your father has taught you. Jasmine nodded, relief washing over her. That said, the principal continued, I'm implementing some new anti-bullying measures. This situation should never have escalated to this point. When Jasmine left the office, she was surprised to find not just Zoe waiting for her, but Raj, Lee, and several other students she barely knew. What happened? Zoe asked anxiously. Tyler's suspended, Jasmine replied. The group broke into smiles and whispers. A girl Jasmine recognized from her history class stepped forward. Thank you for standing up to him. He's been terrible to my little brother for months. Others nodded in agreement. One by one, they shared stories of times Tyler had bullied them or someone they knew. Jasmine listened, realizing that what had happened in the parking lot wasn't just about her. It had broken a cycle of fear that had gripped the entire school. As they walked to class, David appeared in the hallway. He hesitated, then approached. Jasmine, I showed the principal everything, he said quietly, and I wanted to say sorry again. I should have spoken up sooner instead of going along with Tyler. Jasmine studied him for a moment, then nodded. It takes courage to stand up to your friends. The warning bell rang, and students began hurrying to their classrooms. As Jasmine turned to go, David called after her, Hey, some of us are starting a peer support group for kids who've been bullied. Would you maybe want to help? You could teach us some of those moves. Jasmine smiled for what felt like the first time in weeks. I think I'd like that. 3 months had passed since the parking lot incident. Spring had arrived at Westlake High, bringing with it new beginnings in more ways than one. The anti-bullying posters that now lined the hallways weren't just empty words on paper, they represented real change. Twice a week after school, Jasmine led a self-defense class in the gym. What had started with just 5 students had grown to over 20. Today they were practicing basic blocking techniques. Remember, Jasmine explained as she demonstrated a move with Zoe. The goal isn't to hurt someone, it's to protect yourself and create distance so you can get away safely. The students nodded, paired up, and began practicing. Jasmine walked among them, offering guidance and encouragement. She spotted David working with a freshman boy who had transferred to Westlake just last month. Good form, she told them both. Keep your stance wider for better balance. After class, as students gathered their belongings and headed out, Zoe nudged Jasmine's arm. Look who's here. Tyler stood in the doorway of the gym, hands in his pockets, eyes on the floor. The room went quiet as he took a hesitant step inside. It was the first time Jasmine had seen him in weeks. After his suspension ended, he'd kept a low profile, switching some of his classes and eating lunch in the library instead of the cafeteria. "Can I talk to you?" he asked Jasmine, his voice lacking its former arrogance. "Alone?" Zoe shot Jasmine a worried look, but Jasmine nodded reassuringly. "It's okay. I'll catch up with you later." As the other students filed out, some giving Tyler cold glances, Jasmine sat on a bench and gestured for him to join her. He sat at the far end, leaving plenty of space between them. "I've been trying to find the right words," he began, staring at his hands. "For weeks now. Nothing seems good enough." Jasmine waited, letting him gather his thoughts. "What I did to you was wrong," he finally said. "The names I called you, the things I wrote on your locker, there's no excuse for any of it." He looked up, meeting her eyes for the first time. "I'm sorry, Jasmine, truly sorry." The words hung in the air between them. Jasmine had imagined this moment many times, wondering how she would feel when and if it ever came. "Why?" she asked simply. "Why did you do it?" Tyler sighed, running a hand through his hair. "I could give you a bunch of reasons. My dad's always been tough on me. I was angry about not getting into state, but honestly," he shook his head, "I was just being a jerk. I thought it made me look cool, being mean to people. When you stood up to me that first day, it made me feel small, so I wanted to make you feel smaller." His honesty surprised her. "The counselor I've been seeing, Ms. Patel, she's helped me see a lot of things about myself. Things I didn't want to see." He hesitated. "I know you probably can't forgive me. I wouldn't forgive me either. But I wanted you to know that I'm trying to be better." Jasmine thought about her father's words. True strength is shown not just in how we defend ourselves, but in how we respond to those who have wronged us. "I don't know if I can forgive you yet," she said honestly. "But I believe people can change, if they really want to." Tyler nodded, accepting her words. "That's fair." He stood up to leave, then paused. "That self-defense class you're teaching, do you think someone like me could join? I'd stay away if it makes people uncomfortable, but it seems like something good to learn." Jasmine considered his request. "Maybe. Let me talk to the group first. It would be their decision too." A small smile crossed Tyler's face, not his old smirk, but something gentler. "Thanks for hearing me out. And Jasmine, what you did that day wasn't just about standing up to me. It changed things around here. For the better." As he walked away, Jasmine remained on the bench, thinking about how much had changed since her first day at Westlake. The peer support group was flourishing. Principal Wilson had implemented a zero-tolerance policy for bullying that actually had teeth. Even some teachers had started attending workshops on how to recognize and address harassment in their classrooms. Later that evening, as Jasmine helped her father clean up after the last class at the dojo, she told him about Tyler's apology. "What do you think, Dad? Can people really change that much?" Her father wiped down a training mat before answering. "The hardest person to defeat is often yourself, your own anger, Your own fear, your own habits. If this boy is truly fighting that battle, then yes, he can change. He smiled at his daughter. And sometimes all it takes is one person brave enough to show others a better way. Jasmine thought about that as she walked home under the setting sun. She had come to Westlake hoping just to blend in, to finish the year without trouble. Instead, she had found her voice and helped others find theirs too. Some battles, she realized, were worth fighting after all.